everybody, welcome back to another episode of Between Sermons. My name is Brent. I get to be the lead pastor here at Disciples Church. And welcome to our little podcast where we are continuing the conversation from Sunday, taking the monologue that is a Sunday sermon and actually turning it into some dialogue, getting a little small group action going where we get to kind of dig a little bit deeper, get a little more maybe practical with what we're learning and kind of get some other perspectives on it. And today's going to be a very, very special day because my wife is here. Yay!
Hey.
Oh, and Marcus.
And Marcus. So I am here functioning as the host of this episode. Taisha is not feeling well, so we are praying for her. So make sure that you pray for her so that she's here next week. But today is gonna be a good one. I am excited about it. Yeah, and we have Marcus Ivy with us.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't know how much you know of Marcus, but he's one of the coolest people around. He really is.
Aww.
We love you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And if you've gone through growth track or foundations class, you've spent a whole month hanging out with Marcus.
Right.
Yep.
That's our gym. That's our baby.
Yeah.
That's where we get to meet and greet all the new people and play cherry pick the people.
I noticed your team grows faster than others.
Right.
You go in like, I want that one, I want that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
All of the friends are happening,
all of that right there.
I love it. But so before we start with the actual message and just kind of talking about all of the things that were brought out of Luke 7, I have been loving so much just going verse by verse in the book of Luke. I don't think that I have ever experienced church like that, where it was just an expository teaching. So I have this question because I want to know, did you grow up with that kind of teaching, or it was more of a, topical or wherever God was giving to the pastor that week? How was your experience growing up?
Yeah, definitely topical. Given to the pastor that week, maybe that day in some cases, unfortunately. But yeah, definitely topical. Never really got into series back per se. It was just always, this is what we're going to use, this scripture, and this is what the cool theme or the cool title of the message is. So to go verse by verse like we're doing now, it was something that we did possibly similar in the Sunday school maybe, right? But not on a Sunday preaching. It was always the cool, the 3 points, they all rhymed and everything like that. So yeah, definitely not us verse by verse like this, which has been amazing and refreshing.
Yeah, it has been. What about you, Brent?
Yeah, no, definitely not. So grew up here. And so my dad was, so early years, it was very much just one-offs. Like it was, 52 sermons a year. No series, no nothing. It was just whatever was on his heart. He was always ahead of the game, so it wasn't like Saturday night prep for whatever he's going to talk about on Sunday. But it was very much, a lot of his messages came out of his own personal Bible reading. Like he was reading something and it popped out at him. And so I can't tell you how many sermons he would start with, I was reading in my Bible in my devotional in the prayer room, and this scripture just popped out at me.
My Bible spoke to me again.
My Bible
he always
spoke
say
to me.
that.
He'd say that all the time. And then while I was probably in like elementary school, he was at a church conference or something, and they were talking about series, and it was just like a light bulb went off for him. He was like, "You mean I can like have a theme for like 4 weeks and just like hit that?" He's like, "Oh, this is beautiful!" Like, and so it like revolutionized like preaching for him, because he grew up in that era of, he had a sermon for Sunday morning, something to talk about for like the Sunday school on Sunday morning, and a sermon for Sunday night, and a sermon on Wednesday night, and a Bible study.
All of them different?
All of them different. None of them connected to each other. No kind of like anything. And so like for him, that was like all of a sudden learning that he could like put together a series was like, this is amazing. But then it was
that sounds like panic attack inducing. I
Right,
was like, I don't know. I don't
five
know.
teachers
no,
in
man,
1 week.
Lord.
he's built different. He's built different. But
He's like Ford truck built to last.
I love my dad. It's incredible what he was able to do.
Yeah. So for a pastor, is it easier, would you say, to do like series and stuff?
I personally think it is
Okay.
easier to do a series because then you spend more time thinking about the same thing.
True.
where like and for me, like I talk too much apparently when I preach, because look at all my sermons, they're just longer than they're supposed to be. But it does give you the opportunity of like, you don't have to say everything in one day. Like you can build a case over like a series of weeks, and so we can address this part of the issue, and then we can address this part of the issue. And so I think it gives you a lot more flexibility, and it's just an easier approach, I think, to do that topical series based kind of teaching. And even now, I'm like, we're walking through this verse by verse, and I love it. I think it's probably what I was built for. Like if I'm honest, like this is, I found my sweet spot, I guess is maybe the way to say it. But at the same time, like I'm looking at some other churches that are doing a series right now, and I'm like, oh man, that series sounds so much fun. Like there's a church I like called Liquid Church that's doing a series on like different faiths, and like what do you need to know about like Islam, and what are the differences between Islam and Christianity. This Sunday they did Catholicism and Protestants, and it was like, I was like, oh man, our people would eat that up. Like they would love that. And so like I'm a little bit jealous, but then Luke has just given us gold, man. So I wouldn't trade it. And
I do think that there's just a huge benefit of going, because I didn't grow up in an expository teaching church. I think I don't think that was a thing back then.
Your pastor and my dad are like
pretty
brothers.
much the same.
They're like twins.
Yes.
Like and your pastor would do the same thing, preach 5 different messages a week.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And he will do the same. Like even if it was I'm gonna spend time in just this passage, it was the full passage, but not verse by verse. It was like what the idea of this passage is, and then kind of offshoot from there, right? So it was. I think that it was really good, but I had never been exposed to just this verse, and then we go from 15 to 16 to 17, and realize how much there is in each verse. It's mind-blowing.
You would think that more churches would do that. I mean, the Bible is what we believe in and
right?
have. So you would think that more people would, and I don't know the numbers on it, but that they would be doing a verse by verse all the way throughout the Bible.
And I think there's more churches doing it than we realize. I think some of the thing is like, because we're Protestant, because we're charismatic, like that puts us in a category, and that category, it's very, very low. Yeah. But if we were not in that category, if we were in a different realm, like it very much like there's churches where like the Catholic Church, it doesn't matter which one you walk into, most likely they're working off of the same catechism, the same, I forget what the name for it is. And so there's a lot of churches out there that are doing it. There's just not a lot of churches like us that are doing it. And so I think that puts it in it's a unique space. Because I know like even like growing up, like I had a lot of friends that went to churches that was just expository teaching. And so when I was first like getting into ministry and learning the difference between expository teaching and topical preaching, like I literally like I thought that expository was boring. Yeah. Like I was like,
me too.
Like, man, you're just gonna like walk verse by verse through something. Like, what if it's not exciting? What if there's not something great happening? Like, but what about like somebody that's got like marriage issues, and you're talking about the Exodus, and it has nothing to do with it. And so like I had all kinds of reasons why topical preaching was better than expository. Yeah.
Even when we were gonna start doing that here, like I was hesitant. I was just like,
well, I don't know.
I don't know. So you're telling me that we're going to be in Luke for a year and a half. Yeah. Like a year and a half, one book.
Yeah. I had one, a teacher, we used to call her a sister teacher, and she was phenomenal. Like, she knew Bible verses like where do you get this from? What Bible's that in? But, like, she knew the Bible left and right. She had a library, like a real room, not a 10 by 10. She had a real room dedicated for a library in her house. Wow. And so we would go to her classes like on Thursday nights for a minister's class. And that's when I first learned about topical and expository. And she was like, you always lean towards scripture, verse by verse. Study that way, even if you don't present that way, because it comes into full context. She was like, sometimes it's dangerous to get those topical lessons and things like that. So every time she would tell us to preach, pick your topic, but make sure you're studying and preparing like you're about to preach line upon line. And so, but to see it in action, I've never seen it like in a church. So,
and that's one of the things I do appreciate about my dad and the way this church was built, is that even though the sermons were topical, it was very scripture heavy. And so it wasn't just picking random. I don't think you could ever accuse the church of doing like the TED Talk with a Bible verse. Like it was very much scripture focused.
Yeah.
But even then, like there's just something different about this. Like, and I think what's been interesting is that there's a thread that's been going through. We're only 7 chapters in, but there's a thread that's been going through all 7 chapters. But at the same time, every Sunday feels fresh and unique and different. And it's like what we talked about yesterday was totally different than what Asa talked about the week before. And yet there's like a common thread that's weaving through it all. And so I think it's just really neat. And being able to both see the big picture because we're staying in a book, but also take our time to slowly walk through like verse by verse. Like those 17 verses, if you're doing your daily Bible reading, that's going to take you 3 minutes. And you're probably going to read it and move on.
And keep going,
And you're going to probably take in 10 minutes worth of reading. You're going to get all kinds of other things. And you're not really going to pause long enough to say, okay, how does the centurion fit with the widow? Like where's the connection here? And why is this happening? And what's the contrast between these two events and the people's reaction? What is it showing us about Jesus? And it just forces you to ask more questions. And I think that's where the best learning comes from.
And I think for our demographic of church that we kind of have now, I think it's needed, right? You know, a lot of people, you know, again, having the benefit of being over growth track and foundations, we see those questions that come up, and it's almost like, there's the answer right there, or hey, we dealt with this last Sunday, or you know, and it's like, oh wow, it's so refreshing, you know, that's really cool. And it's encouraging too. It seems like ever since we've been in Luke, it's like every Sunday it applies to something that's going on like right now. So that's been good.
And I think that biblical literacy is so important, you know, for every believer. Like we need to know what the word says, and not just in the I learned the scripture, I memorized the scripture, but I have no idea what it means. Because I think that a lot of people have, me included in some times, you have learned verses that if somebody were to say, what does that mean? You're like, it's right there.
And what does it mean in its context?
You know, because you don't fully have the knowledge of what it is. And I think that it is so important for us to truly know what the word says and understand it, because you cannot put your faith in something that you don't understand.
It's funny you say that. King, he's learning how to read, is in kindergarten, going to first grade. And he said, Papa, I know how to read. And so he has the book and he's reading while he's getting in bed. I'm like, the page is not even open because I memorized it. I'm like, that's not reading, man. You just memorize something. And that's how we do with the word. We just memorize it. And without even reading, not over the full context. And he's like, yeah, Bob did this. I'm like, dude, you're not reading.
And then you ask him, you know, like, so what does that mean?
Right.
I don't know.
I just memorized it.
Yep. The interesting thing is that's actually where this Luke study really originated from. So we, for years, I listened to my dad complain that there was like the church doesn't know the Bible. Like there's a biblical illiteracy issue. And it wasn't just him complaining about it. I heard others say the same thing. Other preachers, other pastors.
I was going to say,
members,
not just like
not
us,
just here,
but like just
all
the church.
over. Like I listened to a whole TED Talk style conversation between pastors where they were basically just saying, man, the number one issue in the church across America is that people don't know their Bible. And it was like, yeah, you know, I can identify with that. I can feel that. And when I'm having conversation with people, it's like, well, the Bible answers that question for you. You just need to read your Bible. And it was like, the more we complained about people not knowing the Bible, the more I was like, well, maybe that's our fault. Like, because we haven't actually shown them the Bible. We haven't really, like, we've thrown a verse here and a verse here, but like it's been out of context, or it's been, you know, just a random thing here, and it's not really given the big picture, not giving people the tools for how to study the Bible. And so it was like 3 years ago I started wanting to teach more on how to read the Bible. So we did that a few times. We did that in a few different series that we did. We did a whole series called What Does the Bible Say About? Because we're like, I want to get into what the Bible actually says. And then that built from that to Life University, and we did some classes on how to read the Bible. And then that built to, I was like, you know what, let's just take a book of the Bible and let's walk through it. And so we did with James was the first one we did. And we walked through James, and it was like that year we did all kinds of stuff. We had at the movies, and we did a marriage series, and we did all this stuff. But everybody kept coming back to James.
Yeah.
Everybody's
When
like,
are we
"Man,
gonna do another one?
that James series?" Like
Yeah.
there was every conversation was like, "Man, the mental health thing we did was great, but what about James? And when are we gonna do more of that?" And so we did. What did we do? We did Ephesians, and then we did First Peter, and then finally was like, guys, why are we doing this? As like one-offs and little in our breadth of series that we're doing. Why are we just picking a book? Why not just scrap that plan and let's just walk through the New Testament? Okay. And so we said, all right, let's walk through the New Testament. Where are we going to start? And I said Luke, and I don't even remember now why Luke particularly. I like Luke. I think it's good for Gentiles like us, right? Because it's not as heavy into Old Testament and Jewish understanding, but there's glimpses of it. And really, I actually, the final nail in the coffin, I guess, was looking at Luke and Acts as a 2-part series. So it was like, well, let's start with Luke, so we can go straight from Luke into Acts, and then we'll go from there. We'll figure out what happens, in 3 years.
Yeah.
So Luke 7.
Oh yeah, we're finally.
Yes, we're gonna dive in. So
Taisha's probably sitting at home going,
When are they going to?
When are they going to actually talk about Luke 7?
My job is not secure here. Luke 7. You start a new part of this that we have called Faith That Amazes.
Yeah.
And there were 2 stories of 2 different people that have an encounter with Jesus that is a little bit different. Yeah. For both of them, they see Jesus' miraculous power and his authority, but in different ways. Can you just give us a little quick
Sure. Yeah,
review?
so we're in Luke 7 verses 1 through 17. We're gonna break up Luke chapter 7, I think, in 3 weeks, so we'll hit all of it. But so those first 17 verses, it's just 2 stories. You have Jesus going into Capernaum, which is his home base of operations. He's going to minister in that region for most of his ministry time is going to be in that area. He's going to basically walking distance from there. It's the home city of Peter and James and John, I think, because there's interactions with family members and things, but whatever. And so you asked about the 2 miracles. So first is a centurion who is not Jewish. He's Roman. He's a military officer. He's supposed to be the bad guy in every story, because for the Jews, the Romans were the bad guys in every story. And yet this one is different. This guy he's generous. He's paid for the synagogue to be built. It says that he loves the nation, that he's worthy to have Jesus come and heal his servant. And so he sends these elders to go talk to Jesus and try and convince him to come. And the convincing was really easy because Jesus wants to heal. Jesus wants to move towards people. And so Jesus goes, and the centurion doesn't even let Jesus come to the house. He sends some people out to meet him, because there's this weird thing with the Jews at that time where you weren't supposed to go into the home of a Gentile. That was not cool. And so this Roman officer,
cooties.
yeah, they got germs or something. I don't know.
Right.
And so the Roman centurion, obviously, because he loves the nation, he built the synagogue, he knows those rules. Yeah. So he's like, I don't want to put Jesus in this weird space, so I'm just gonna send some people out to him. And they relay this message that basically says, you don't need to come to my house, just say the word, and my servant will be healed, which is just this level of faith that we haven't seen yet. And he explains even why he has that kind of faith. He says, I'm a man under authority, and I have people under me. I understand, when my boss says do something, I have to do it. He doesn't have to be in the room making me do it. Right. He just says it, and I do it. And I've got people that are under me. I got 100 soldiers under me. That's where centurion comes from. And so when I speak, they respond. If I say go, they go. If I say come, they come. If I say do this, they're going to do it. And I don't have to be in the room with them for them to obey. And so basically saying, I have authority over my soldiers. Jesus, you clearly have authority over sickness. So if you just say the word, I know that sickness will obey.
So I'm not trying to interrupt, but I was just thinking, with your former law enforcement background, how do you understand this centurion person?
Man, I thought about that when reading this. Like, man, this was me. Like, I was second in command of parole in the state of Illinois, and one person on me was the chief of parole. I was deputy chief, and so I could hear Jason now, Marcus, do this, and I was looking around, getting ready to do stuff, and some of the stuff he told me to do, I had people under me, like maybe hundreds of staff under me, 300, including clericals and stuff like that. And it was like, man, this is me. Like, I tell people to do stuff and they do it. Like, it's cool and dangerous at the same time, right? I think what you said about the compassion without power is useless.
So power without compassion is useless, or power without compassion is
Dangerous.
It's dangerous.
And compassion without power is useless.
Yeah, and I've seen that operate in my career for a long time. People abusing their authority, their power. But if they had the compassion, a lot of things could have been changed. And I think that's what God placed me in that position for. Although I had the power to make decisions and do things, the compassion that I had for people, I was able to, have people to do more things than others because I had compassion. I met them, I assisted them, I helped, I went out with them and things like that. So that just kind of put me right there in the story. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of people, you can read that, and if you have never had that level of authority,
yes,
you don't have the badge,
yeah.
you don't have the I say this, like I tell my kid to brush their teeth, and they're like, yeah, sure, and they don't, right? So,
yeah, you have to be careful. I've seen so many people abuse that that power where people don't even want to do anything for them, right? Because they lack the compassion behind it. Yeah. And my boss prior, he's retired, but he was one of those, hey man, do what I tell you to do, and that's it. He got better. So if he ever watched this, he did get better after time. But he used to always tell me like you and I have like the same power, but people do more for you than for me. So you go handle those people over there.
But I think that it helps maybe for you even to understand where the centurion is coming from and the level of understanding of authority that he has that maybe somebody else doesn't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's
especially in like a military setting.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's where it's like, man, like your life is forfeit. You disobey a direct command. Like that's not good. Like it's different than when your kid doesn't brush their teeth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the centurion's interaction, and Jesus marvels at his faith because it's like, man, he understands who I am better than the Jews do, and so Jesus even says like, even in Israel I haven't seen this level of faith, and so actually that's where these next couple chapters we're labeling it as faith that amazes, and it really comes from this first interaction, but then we're going to see just this amazing faith on display throughout the next two chapters. But the centurion acts as an intercessor. He goes to Jesus on behalf of someone else, and I just, man, when that popped out at me, when I realized like, man, this may be like one of the first intercessors within this. Well, I guess your Sunday when the friends brought their paralyzed buddy to Jesus. That was an intercessor moment too.
Yeah.
It's neat how like this just keeps coming up, and we're gonna see more of that in the future. But so it was just a really cool moment. He's healed, and Jesus goes straight from there to a place called Nain. It's like a 1 to 2 day walk from Capernaum. So again, it's just this walking. He's in that hub and just kind of spreading out from there. And as he's walking up to the city, there's a funeral happening. And there's a dead body being carried out of the city as Jesus is coming into the city, and it's interesting because like it talks about how like there's a crowd with the mother and the dead son. It's like it says like nearly the whole city, or so, I forget how it's phrased, but it's like a large group from the city had come out with them. But then it also says that there's a large crowd following Jesus. So like if you picture the scene, it's like crowd A meets crowd B. Right. And it's like one group is like heading out of the city in this funeral procession. They're mourning and they're weeping. And this other group is like so excited because like we're following Jesus and we're going to see him do a miracle. We're going to hear him teach. And so like there's like this joy and excitement probably coming from one group. And then there's just this depression and sorrow and all this coming from this other group. And all of a sudden the two groups meet right at the city gate. And Jesus sees her, sees what's happening, and it says he's moved with compassion. And so what I love about this two stories being side by side is the centurion goes to Jesus in faith.
Yes.
The widow doesn't. She doesn't go to Jesus. She doesn't cry out. She doesn't go, hey, come over here, raise my
Please do
son.
something.
Like
Yeah.
we don't even know if she knows Jesus is a traveling minister at this point.
Right.
Like, yeah, the word had spread, so it's possible she did, but we don't have any indication that she recognized Jesus, knew Jesus, was waiting for Jesus, was hoping for Jesus. Nothing. She was just grieving her son. Yeah. And this moment it's a tragic moment too, because like any funeral is going to be sad,
Right.
but Luke goes on to say, it's the only son,
Man.
right? Which makes that even tragic. I mean, imagine losing your only son, like that, the tragedy of that. And anytime a parent has to bury their child, like that's just tragedy.
Yeah.
And then it says of a widow, right? And so like that's sad for us, but 2,000 years ago in that context, like there wasn't a whole lot of like community outreach
no
things.
support.
There wasn't a lot of like programs for widows. And so basically her son was the one who was supposed to provide for her after her husband passed. And now he's gone too. So she's not just grieving, she's terrified. What does the future mean for her?
Right.
And we don't know how old she is or how young she is, but this is not a good moment for her. And it's in that space that Jesus sees her, moves towards her in compassion, not to just say, man, I'm so sorry that your son died. Let me put my arm around you. But like he's moved compassion to do something about her grief. Yeah. So he steps into that space. He touches the funeral bier, the wooden frame that holds the body, which he's not supposed to do, and he does it anyways. And it's just a really cool moment we can talk about later if you want. But so he touches it, and he speaks to the dead son and says, get up. And he does. Like it's just such a cool moment that you see Jesus talking to a dead guy.
Right.
And before that he tells the mother, do not weep, which is, man, that's just, every time I read that, it's just, there's something about the phrase, there's something about the timing of him saying it, there's something about, it says he's moved with compassion, and then he says do not weep. So it's not like, hey, stop crying.
Right.
It's like, hey, don't weep.
Right.
It's okay. Like there's something about that moment that is just, I love this miracle.
I mean, if you just even look, I mean, if you can imagine, like I buried my father and my grandmother, and so being at the funeral, being in the midst of that, you're not paying attention to who's around. You barely remember what people say to you. I remember going back and looking at the sign and like, oh, I didn't even know they were at the funeral, right? And so you can imagine the state that she was. She wasn't even probably paying attention at all. She was double grieved, right? Grieved upon grief. And so for Jesus to see her, like that's amazing. Like and it just reminds me that even when I'm in my funk, right? Even when I don't feel it, grieving or whatever, like Jesus sees me, right? I don't have to force anything. Like Jesus came to her. That right there is so mind blowing. It just encourages us. Like, I know there's gonna be days when you're suffering, when you're grieving, when you're hurting, when you have questions, but in the midst of that, like Jesus sees you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I love it. It's funny. It reminds me of Jesus in the boat. The storm is happening.
Yeah.
The disciples are panicking. Jesus is sleeping, and they wake him up and say, "Don't you even care that we're gonna die?"
Man.
And it's like, man, he cares. He also knows you're not about to die. Like if I'm in the boat and I said we're getting to the other side, it's gonna be okay. Yeah. And again, we have this moment where it's just reedifying this thing that like you don't have to say to God, hey, don't you even know what's happening here? He's omniscient. He knows everything. He sees everything. He's very much aware of what you're going through, and he's moving into that space, whether you ask him to or not.
Right.
Like that's the cool thing about the story.
Something that, and I don't know why this happens, but I think that a lot of people recognizes Jesus' authority. Like, that he has power. God is powerful, but a lot of times we lack of believing or trusting that he has compassion.
Yeah, sure.
Like you see this big God that has the power to do all of these things, but he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so much wrong,
Yeah.
in the world. Because if he's powerful, but he obviously doesn't care about us. What do you think that is?
Why does he not move, or
No, why
does
do you think that people cannot?
Man, that's such a deep question, because I think the issue for a lot of us is recognizing that just because we're suffering or going through a difficult season doesn't mean that's wrong or bad. Mm-hmm. Like, there are things that we go through that we need to go through, right? Like, there's a whole philosophical argument that, like, you can't have courage if there isn't something dangerous. Like, you can't experience true love if there isn't also the opposite, or the lack of love. Like, in order to really experience the greatest things that life has, you also have to have the not so great.
Right.
Like, you don't understand how sweet something is until you taste something bitter. And so, like, there's a lot of things that we look at God and we're like, if you really loved me, you wouldn't allow this to happen. And I think that God's response in a lot of those spaces is, because I love you, I'm letting this happen. Yeah. It's for your growth. Mm-hmm. It's for your benefit. And so we have to hold that. And then we also have to hold this understanding of human free will, and the fallen status of the world, and the reality that God isn't here to bring about cultural reform and things like that. Like, his purpose is salvation, right? And so sometimes we get so caught up in the momentary, right here, right now. Like, I lost my job. Don't you even care? And he's like, that job doesn't matter. Yeah. Like, I'm still providing for you. There's another job coming. Like, it's gonna be okay. Plus, you're gonna work that job for 40 years, and then what?
Right.
Like, there's an eternity waiting for you. And so I think sometimes we get this, I don't know, this short-sightedness, where all we can see is, like, what's right in front of us, and God's like, hey, over here, like, there's something more coming. There's a bigger picture. Like, don't get so caught up in just right here, right now.
I think with authority too, people, that's all they see, right? They think that there's an authoritative figure, and they don't care about anything else. They don't have any type of compassion with them, right? And so if you have that in your mindset, is that's all they are, is just authority, right? You guys probably look at it as pastors. Like, people treat y'all different, right? Because you authority figure, right? Like the lady shaking, like, oh, I'm scared to come up to you, approach you, but don't know there's, compassion within you. I had one incident at my job. This guy was dealing with some alcoholism, and like, he was suffering, right? And so I was a deputy chief, and so I heard about it, and I went out and picked him up and drove him around, like, just talked to him. Yeah. And like, to this day, he was like, man, nobody ever did that who had power, like you this, that, you this and that. Yeah, but there's compassion behind you, and for you saying like that, if you don't have compassion, that authority is nothing, right? It's like nothing. So I think people just have to change their mindset of the authority, that piece, and they will understand better.
Yeah, I think part of that too is, like, whatever your experience with authority was outside of God, like, you're gonna bring that into the conversation. Yep. It's like, man, there's so many times when I'm like talking with somebody about how amazing of a father God is, and all of a sudden I realize that every time I talk about father, there's like it's like a hit, and it's like, oh, tell me about your experience with your dad. And that's when it's like, my dad abused me and then ran out. So when you say God is a father, all I can picture is my dad, and my dad was awful. Yeah. And it's like, oh, we gotta understand, like, no, God is like the perfect image of a father. What a father should have been, what your father wasn't, God is. And it's, you carry that into this authority. Like, if you've been around somebody like is abusing their authority over you, you look at anybody with authority, and now you're seeing it through the lens of abuse. And so I think that we bring our own baggage into that space.
So I was thinking about the story of the centurion, and I don't know if you guys take notes. I am a note taker.
I have a notebook, but no notes in it.
I have all of the notes. I am always looking for more space to write things, because I take notes. I'm that kind of a nerd. Like, I was even like that in school. Like, I need to write.
What I love is
down.
that you have your Luke journal and you take notes on that, but you also have your it's not a Kindle. What is it? paper
my
thing?
my
Then you
remarkable.
write.
Remarkable. Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. You got your little digital note taker that you're always writing notes in. Are there different things in each place, or is it the same
Yeah,
thing?
no, it is different stuff, and then I also write in my Bible. So like I just have to write everywhere.
You
But
should show that to the camera though. Like the it's quite robust.
like yeah, I have like all of my notes.
Like this is
All of my
you're gonna get
notes.
an A on the test for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
yeah, I am the person that you want if you're like I need the notes for this class. I got
got
you.
it.
I have the notes. So something that as you were reading the passage yesterday kind of jumped out at me, and I don't know that you will have the answer, but maybe
Dun, dun, dun.
you know
Way to put me
you
on the
know
spot.
things that other people might not.
Get ready for I have no idea.
Probably. But, the centurion is wanting Jesus to come and heal his servant.
Mm-hmm.
So first he sends Jewish people
Yeah.
to Jesus. But once Jesus is already on the way and close, he says that he sends his friends. So probably not Jewish people anymore.
Yeah.
So what is the difference there? Was he trying to butter Jesus up with his own people to come, and then he's like, since he's already agreed to it, he will do it if I just send my buddy Jeff or what?
No, so I think so. He sends the elders, the Jewish elders, as like that authority figure, like because he would think that if he's a Jewish rabbi, then Jewish elders can tell the Jewish rabbi where to go. So he sends them first. When he sends the friends, like this would be speculative because there's no more detail given. But if he's not letting Jesus come into his home because of the whole Jew versus Gentile thing, then if he's sending friends from his home, these are probably Romans. They're probably Greeks. And so most likely they're not Jewish. Why he would send the friends, I think is exactly what he says. Like, hey, guys, go stop him. He doesn't need to come into the house. Like, just tell him from right out there, if he just says the word, my servant will be healed. And he will. So it's most likely these are just people that were, could have been other servants. Sometimes the Bible will say friend and use it in different ways. But it could have also been, co-workers, could have been part of his staff, could have been fellow soldiers. We don't really know who they were, but I think he sends them because they were the ones around him. Like, so they were in the house, and he knows Jesus. Now he knows Jesus is coming because the elders got him to come, at least in his perspective.
Now I just think,
And
I
so
was just
they
thinking, I was like, he was trying to butter him up with his own
Right,
people.
trying to say-
Yeah, no, I don't think that. I wouldn't go that far.
Bring the hospitality out the house to him.
because the invitation to come had already been accepted,
Yeah.
Right.
and so there was no buttering up necessary at that point.
No, with the Jewish people, like with the first ones. And that's why afterwards he was like, well, he's already coming. He already said yes.
Maybe.
So now my Roman people are fine to go and talk to him. So I don't know. It's all of the things that I question as I
you wanna
read the
say,
Bible.
These are the things that keep you up at night.
All of the things that
Those
keep
are
me
the
up.
things that keep her
friends.
writing.
I literally have this. Centurion didn't send his commanders or the fellow Romans. He sends Jews.
Well, and that makes sense because if he sends another Roman centurion, like what authority does that person have over a Jewish rabbi to perform a miracle? Now he could have sent a Roman centurion to say, "Hey, you need to come with me," and according to law, like Jesus would have had to respond. Like the Jews, the oppression that Romans had over Jews, like that's where that whole give them your cloak. It's the whole go an extra mile with them. Like these were part of the law. Like a Jewish citizen had to carry a Roman soldier's gear for, I think it's like basically a mile. And so there's a passage where Jesus says, when they ask you to carry it for a mile, go 2 miles.
2 miles, yeah.
And so it's like, this is, if he had sent soldiers, Jesus would have had to come, but that doesn't mean Jesus has to perform a miracle.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he sends the elders because he loves the nation, he understands Jewish tradition, and he's like, yeah, this is going to be more effective than if I send a soldier to go drag this Jesus guy over.
Yeah.
So, he was smart.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, no, he
He
did
was
well.
calculated. Yeah, he was calculated.
You don't get to lead a battalion of 100 soldiers without being
The strategy.
at least having something.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you were talking about yesterday about familiarity And how when something becomes so familiar to you, you might not be as excited or as invested in it because it's just, I don't know, kind of becomes, it just,
Heard the story before.
yeah, like it's just given, right?
Yeah.
But how the outsiders respond in faith and what we see a lot more than the people that are supposed to, like the ones that you expect to go and be like, this is a Messiah, this is Jesus, and he does these things. Sometimes are the first ones to be like, I don't know, or like like have more criticism or whatever. Have you experienced that in your life?
Familiarity breeds content, right? It's something that I think should all, as you mature and get older and older and more into the faith, we have to watch out for that, because it can be, I went to church, I did my Bible study, I did my devotion, I did this and that, and it becomes like on cruise control, right? And so there's no further investment in what you suppose. It's not going above, right? It's just I expect this is how it's supposed to be, because I know tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna read my devotion. I know Sunday's coming, and so those things become familiar, and you get comfortable in those things. But one thing, when that came up, I took some notes. I take notes, but on my phone, I wrote down. That's why I really kind of stay connected and in awe of God's creation, because the stars, the moon, the clouds, the trees, like all those things are fascinating to me, because it brings me back to the awe of God.
Yeah.
Like every day you wake up, it's an opportunity to go outside. Well, first, before you even wake up, the breath that you have in your body, but then you get to go outside and see the awe of God. And so things don't become, seasons change. So you got different colors of trees and all those things. I'm telling Chris, we need some color in our flower bed. Like all those things bring glory to God. And it takes me personally out of just the norm of I get my awe on Sundays, right? And so just seeing his awe every day it takes me away from just being familiar with just the duties that we have to perform. So, yeah.
And I think that a lot of Christians see their walk with God as a list of do's, right?
Yeah.
Get
Check
up,
it off the box.
pray,
Yeah.
read the Bible, do the devotional, go to church, be in a group. And at some point, instead of being something that you desire and something that is filling your life and something that is that much added benefit, that is a privilege of doing it, it just becomes another thing, right? Like it's just one more thing. And I think that we definitely have to guard ourselves against that, because like I was talking to a group of ladies, my discipleship group, and I was just talking to them and how that is not how we're supposed to live, because the Bible says that his burden is light. So he didn't came to give us more burden,
Right.
like God, now you have the burden of salvation. Here you go. Now you have to pray, and now you have to do, and now you have to serve. And it is, instead of being freeing, now you are burdened by it.
Right.
But I think that the way to be able to get and to experience the freedom and the love and the joy of salvation comes in that staying in that state of awe, where doing those things doesn't feel like another task, but it feels like something that you desired, something that is a privilege, something that you are honored to do. How do you think that we can get there?
Yeah, I gave 3 things to do in the message. It was super fast. Some people probably missed it, but I think if we're in that space where that familiarity has removed our awe of God, I think we need to slow down. Because I think sometimes, like, what happens is we're just rushing. It's just like I've got so many important things to do today that my time with God is going to be either quick or it's not going to happen at all. And it's just I'm trying to squeeze it in with all of these other priorities. And so, like, we've got to slow down, take a breath, stop rushing from thing to thing. Number 2, we need to spend better quality time with God.
Yes.
That I think that's, if you want to be in awe of God, you got to spend time with him. And I think that's the combination of we get too rushed So we stop spending time with God, and that's when that familiarity, like, well, I know the story and I know the thing, and then the last thing is that I know it's so cliched, but that whole attitude of gratitude, right? Like there's something about just waking up every day, like Marcus was saying, like, and just being in awe of who God is, like taking the time to just look around at nature, to when you hear the worship song, even if you've heard it 1,000 times before, pay attention to the words and think about what it means and who God is, and wake up with, we've talked before about our memorial jar, our memorial stones of all the amazing things that God has done, and how every time we walk by that thing, it's just a reminder of, man, God is amazing. God is awesome in our lives. And so I think just taking the time to do those things. I think also what we can do, and this is something I learned from my parents, they change up their Bible translation every year, so for their Bible reading. Because if they don't, like if they're just reading the same translation over and over again, they start to like glaze over some things. Like, well, I know how this
like
phrase
what King
is,
was gonna
right.
Yeah,
they're reading
you're
like
not really
King.
reading it. You just and so I've taken that trick, and so in a lot of my devotional times, I'll swap out translations here and there. We still use ESV for all of our teachings because I like being able to stick with one translation just for that. But in my own personal time, like I'll switch to ERV and NLT, and I'll bring out the Message paraphrase every once in a while, just like, man, how did Eugene Peterson phrase this one? And I think that helps me at least keep Scripture fresh, that it's not just I'm filling in the blanks. So yeah.
It's like a marriage, you have to be intentional about making investments in it. Your date night just can't be, etched in stone. You have to do something different, right? Yeah. You have to make it fresh. You have to be intentional, conversate, talk, like you said, spend time with God. Court and date and have fun, and do those type of things bring you back to the beginning, your first love. When you start just, oh man, I remember when God did this. Don't just forget about what he did and how he saved you. Like, man, bring that up, man. How did he do that? And I remember how I felt. You have to get that childlike faith back. And sometimes walking in faith and walking in this life, the childlike faith, it just doesn't happen anymore, right? Because of life. But we have to be so intentional about staying connected with God to have that feeling, to have that fire, to have that energy about him, so you won't lose it.
So what are the things that you do on your devotional time that help you bring that refreshment?
The first thing I love just nature, right? I'll open up all the windows and look outside and
what
things
do you
like
do in
that.
the winter though?
Right, I love snow, right? So I love to look at the snow and the bright lights and things like that. Just making sure, reading different commentaries, devotions. Like I think I'm doing a Tony Dungy one now. Just bringing it fresh, like you said, making sure that you have to be intentional about it. Because if you don't, it'll be stale. Like, and unfortunately we have so many stale Christians walking around because they're not investing in themselves. They're not watering what was planted. We got to do some work too, right? We're not working for the salvation, but once we get it, we got to make sure we cultivate. We got to give. We got to pour back in, because you will be stagnant. You'll be stale, just sitting there like, da da da.
Yeah, stale Christians. Christians. I like that. Like, 'cause I can picture chips, and when chips are stale, my gosh, they're gross.
Lose its
Don't
flavor.
be a stale Christian.
We don't want to lose our flavor.
Yeah, one of the things that I didn't really anticipate being a boon to that, like getting back to that awe of God, is actually just being in a small group. Like my discipleship group, like when we're praying for each other, and then like a week later it's like, hey guys, you prayed for me on this thing and here's what happened, and it's like, oh man, that's awesome. And so like now all of a sudden it's not just about what God's doing in my life, but now there's a dozen of us, and it's like what God's doing in their life is making me excited about what God can do. And so actually just being a part of that community where we're sharing stories and there's testimonies happening, and even in the struggles, it's like, man, I know that God is with them. And so it's just, I don't know, there's something uplifting and encouraging about being connected with others.
That happened to me yesterday. We're kind of making a transition in Growth Track and putting leaders over the different weeks. So yesterday was our first week kind of hands off. And it was like, man, it's a lot to do, a lot of people to talk to. And I'm talking to people. It was exhausting. But it was encouraging because I got with this one guy, and just to hear his kind of track to DC. Like I saw him do Growth Track, but it's like after that, what are they doing? and he told me a story. He kind of left DC for a minute, and then he came back, and like how he's on fire and stuff. I'm like, man, I got fired up right there because the testimony that he shared. And so just making sure you're intentional about, groups, connecting with other people. We're not made to live this life alone. So those things that encouraged me. Like, and I was like, man, you just encouraged me. Like, man.
Yeah, I think that always be surrounded by people that are passionate about God, and they are speaking with that passion.
Yeah.
Just it's contagious.
Yeah,
like you're
it
like,
is.
I want some of that. You know,
Yeah.
when somebody's telling you about the Bible and how amazing it is, you're just like, where's my Bible? I need to start reading the Bible. Like, it is contagious. So like, even just surrounding yourself with people that truly are on fire for God can make a whole difference in how you approach God, because you want some of that too.
Yeah.
And then you start seeing God differently and start getting that, catching the fire.
Yeah.
And I think that is very important, catching the fire. So the other thing that I want to talk about with the centurion, and then we can move to the widow. You were talking about authority and how he understood authority, but the question was, does Jesus have authority in my life?
Yeah.
Can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, I think one of the things we get really excited about is when God has authority over sickness and disease and death and all that stuff.
I want to jump and dance.
Yeah,
Yes.
come on,
Do
Jesus,
it.
come into my life
Right.
and do that
Let's
thing.
do that.
And the question really, for me, it was just based on the centurion's response was, I tell them to go and they go, tell them to come and they come. I tell them to do this and they obey because I have authority over them.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, does Jesus have that authority over me?
Mm-hmm.
So if Jesus says go, do I complain about it? Do I fight about it? Do I say, well, I don't really want to go, and like I don't know if that's the right timing, and make excuses and argue and say, well, can we compromise, and maybe I'll go halfway if like when he says go, do you go? When he says come, do you come? When he says do this, do you obey? And I think that's the test of whether or not we're really acknowledging his authority. Because we can say, God, you have authority in my life, but if you never actually do the things that he tells you to do, he doesn't have authority in your life.
Right.
And that's a tough place to be. I don't think it's always that easy to sacrifice and to surrender everything, but that's what it actually means to be a disciple.
Yeah.
Pastor Asa nailed it last week with, why do you say Lord, Lord, and you don't do what I tell you to do? Like, you say this, but are you doing it? And you're smiling as a greeter, but you're being nasty to the checkout lady at Target. You're being nice to the kids
all
here.
of the
Man,
rocks.
throwing all of them.
I felt thrown under the bus, and then he backed it up.
Right.
Like, it was just, but it's one of those where, like, is he actually Lord? Which means he has power and authority over my life, so that if he speaks, I respond. So if he tells me, hey, quit your job, how long is it going to take for me to quit my job?
Man.
You make a backup plan first, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Do I rationalize? Do I talk to him about it? If he says, hey, I want you to go tell your neighbor about church, just invite him to the service we're having. And you're like, oh, but my neighbor, he's kind of grouchy, and we don't really have a relationship like that. And my neighbor, he's busy, he's mowing his lawn. I don't want to make him stop, and then he's got to take off his headphones.
Yeah.
And so like we have all of this like back and forth with God, and it's like, okay,
that
really
happened.
Lord.
You kind of set that up too. I think you asked the question, and then it was like, yeah, I'm just leave that there, and then go to the next verse.
Yeah.
So I was like unpacking that, like,
Just
dude,
let
wait,
that
hold, you
hang.
just gonna leave me right there like that? But it is true. Like, we see and ask God for authority, everybody else, and like you say, getting to heal persons. But is he really the authoritative figure in my life? And that's what we have to deal with. That, I mean, I was still thinking about that. What will I give up? And I think we have to all do that. Like, but am I going to give that up for him to have complete authority? Right? Am I going to pick up his word for him to have complete authority? What does that really look like for God for Jesus to have total authority in your life? And to be honest, like, it's like, some areas I don't want to get that up. In some areas it's like, not right now. Wait a minute. But to have complete authority in his over your life? That's the question.
And what happens when obeying, and being fully submitted to his authority is not all rainbows and butterflies, right? Because
Right.
there's some times that his
it
authority
usually isn't.
because
Yeah,
like sometimes
yeah.
like obeying his commands just bring peace, and you feel like, I am so glad that I obey God, like I'm in a much better place. But what happens when you know that you are doing what God is calling you to do, but it doesn't feel like it because it just hurts?
Yeah.
Because you obey, now you have all of this backlash. Because you obey and because you're standing your ground, now you're having problems with your kids, or you're becoming the not so friendly person because they don't agree with what I wanted to do, or whatever it may be, or is saying no to something that you were really passionate about, and now you just have this pain of, I had to give this up.
Right.
What do you do then?
You just keep going because God is God.
Yeah.
It's like the judge. You go in the courtroom, once he gives out his sentencing or whatever, you just got to do it. You got to deal with it, and know that. I think it may come up, but we serve God and we know things are going to happen, but it's not that I did this now that I deserve this, right? Yeah. He doesn't operate like that. Privileged Christians, we have a lot of those, and unfortunately, and I'm not talking about the older people, but you've heard those prayers. I prayed and I fasted, and you're gonna raise them from the dead. All those type of things. Those things, I look back, that was like kind of weird. Like, God moves how He wants to move, not because of what I did on this checklist. Mm-hmm. And it's the pain is still there, right? But even the pain is still there, but God is still there, and that's what we find our hope in as Christians. No matter what's going on, God is there. He's present. He's doing something that we may not even know. He's working it out, not like how we may have prayed for it. And so, the thing is we got to stay the course, to be practical, to be simple with it. We just got to just keep going. And it may not change when you want it to, right? But we serve a God that's so amazing that even in the pain, there's still hope. So we just got to keep going, keep trusting.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a tough one, I don't think that people struggle with wanting to submit. I think that people struggle with the reality of submission.
Yeah.
I think that if you ask people, do you want to be submitted to God? Christians, of course.
Yeah.
They will say, of course, yes, I want to obey God.
Yeah.
But the reality of what that looks like is what I think that stops a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because it is like this became real.
Yeah.
Now I actually have to say no to things.
Right.
Yep.
Now I actually have to stand for what I believe. Now I actually have to give up the things that I don't want to give up.
Yep.
Like, now I actually have to change the way that I live.
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes tough. Like, I don't think that it's a lack of desire. I think that it's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. The guy I was talking to on Sunday, he was talking about during the time where he left, he was like, I didn't want to go to church, right? I didn't want to have God. I didn't want to do anything. He said, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. He said, but when it got to a point where he knew that, okay, God took his pinky finger off of him, like, I had to come back in, but he was like, I still was struggling. I still was having pain. I still was dealing with certain things. But he was like, even when I came back, I felt better. I still had the stuff going on, but I had that. I knew that God was there. He said, when I was out there, I didn't care either way, either left or right. But now that I'm back in, like, I'm still going through those things, but I know that there's a hope. Like, I know that God got me, right? When I was in the world, I was just out there. That was encouraging to me. He had me pumped up yesterday, just to know, that God can, move even in the midst of your pain and your struggles and things like that.
Yeah, and I think the issue, back to what you were saying, Sol, we like to say, God, you have authority in my life, and there's like a little asterisk next to that statement, and it's like, as long as, right? You have authority in my life as long as I agree with what you're asking me to do.
Yeah.
Like, as long as I'm not inconvenienced, as long as And so many times we say, God, you have authority over my life, but we don't really mean it. Because when it becomes practical, when it becomes the actual, like, rubber meets the road, actually walking this thing out, we're like, yeah, but no. Like, I have authority really over my life, but I'm going to give you, like, partial authority. And so as long as what
for the blessings,
right? Like, as long as whatever you're saying or doing or asking me to do, as long as it aligns with my own thoughts and desires and plans, then yeah, of course you have authority. Of course I'll do that thing. And it may even still be difficult. It may still be challenging, but it matches with my preconceived notion of what I want life to look like. And so, thank you for pushing me to go and do that thing that I was a little hesitant to do, that I knew I was wanting to do anyways. But that's not authority. That's not really submission. And as long as you actually have the final say, that means he's not Lord.
And that's so unfortunate, because I've seen a lot of people walk away or stray away from the faith because of what they thought God was supposed to do in their lives. And it's like, what? Like, come on, bro. Come back here. Like, quit playing. Like, you're not the boss. And yes, a lot of people, a couple of friends just walked away because of what they thought was supposed to happen didn't happen.
Yep.
So.
Well, stay tuned, because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about next week.
Dun, dun, dun,
so come back. You don't want to miss that conversation, because that's going to be...
This week was so like, yay, miracles are happening. Next week is like, oh.
Yep. You don't want to miss next episode. But let's move to the widow, and how I love the fact that Jesus initiates everything.
Yep.
He saw her in her pain, in her grieving, while she could not think straight, like Marcus was saying, like, there's just so much going on that she probably didn't even was aware of who was there and who were not. And if you have ever lost somebody, or if you have ever been in a grieving situation, that you're not thinking straight. It's just so cloudy that knowing that in that moment Jesus saw her, and he is the one that walked to her, to her situation, I should say, because he went to the dead person. But how beautiful is that, and how, I don't know, how uplifting and encouraging to know that we are not nobodies to God. Like, he cares about each and every one of us, and he sees our pain and he steps into it. Have you ever experienced God interrupting your funeral? Like the funeral that you were being a part of. Like, you're grieving a situation. There's something that is just completely awful happening in your life, and Jesus sees you and he shows up.
Yeah, I mean, I would. My father, when he passed away, I got the call and rushed over there and saw him lying on the floor, and it was like I had just gotten saved. I had just gotten saved a month ago, 2 months ago. Prior
you
to
just
him
got saved 2 months ago?
Yeah, but no. Prior to my dad in 2003.
Talking about losing his father, and you're gonna bring in a joke.
Where's the compassion?
Where's the compassion?
I'm gonna be fired. Like, Taisha's never
Taisha,
never gonna trust me with this spot again. Sorry, continue.
But just seeing, a person I just got saved, and just seeing, and I was believing God to raise him right there, and just the compassion that he had for me, like in real time, was unbelievable. Being new to the faith, not really understand. My grandmother, I knew her faith, right? But having my own salvation and still dealing with the decision I just made, and in God's perfect timing, I think He just set that up perfectly. But Jesus came in, and His compassion was amazing. I don't know how I would have gotten through that prior to me being saved. I probably have been drunk out of my mind somewhere, honestly. That was His compassion just came in and just took care of everything.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. It was almost like the story, like, man, Pops, like you the guy who taught me this and taught me that, you raised me this, and just to see him gone, but then to see Jesus come in and replace that void. It was like right there. It was like I had a little time to grieve, but it was real. It was quick.
Yeah.
The compassion that he had on my life, and just the start of me being in my salvation, my walk. So.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think you and I are walking a journey right now. There's been a lot of challenges, a lot of pain in our family, and just stuff that we're going through. And the number of times we've just looked at each other and said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know, where do we go from here? And then randomly some person will just walk up to us and say, man, God's put you on my heart lately. I've been praying for you, and they don't know anything about any situations or anything, but they're just like, and then they'll say what they were praying for, and it was like, that was it. And they had no knowledge of it. It was just God was using people to remind us that we're not alone, that we're not facing this by ourselves, that there is hope, that there is other people that care about this situation, that God is aware and he's moving.
Yeah, I remember it was like a year and a half ago, and I was at a very low point, and I remember I was on my, like, at the edge of my bed, just sitting there and just crying, and I was just praying, and I was just saying, God, I feel so alone. I feel like nobody cares. I feel like you don't even see me. Like, I just, it was one of those that you're just pouring out your heart, you just full tears and everything. And no joke, as I am praying, my phone buzzes, and I grabbed it, and it was Taisha texting me. And she just said, hey, sis, I just wanted to know that I see you and that I love you and that you're not alone.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, God, I hear you. Like, I hear you, God. Like, it was one of those that through somebody he was saying, no, you're seen. And you're not alone, right? So it was like literally the words that I had just said out to him, they were brought back to me in an affirmation moment. And it is just so beautiful when you experience that, when you know he's actually with me. He actually sees it. He actually cares, because he gives you that extra motivation to keep on going.
And I think that exact moment has been replicated maybe a dozen times.
Since then,
in the last year or so, just over and over again with random moments, random people.
And those are the times that you kind of keep in your pocket, right? To bring out, like, man, you did it then. I know you're gonna do it again. I remember Crystal and I was going through some stuff, and we that's when we probably should have left DC CLC then and go somewhere else, but we moved farther away.
Now tell us more, Marcus.
No, we don't have time for all of that. But just like being away, and it's like, man, okay, God. And I wasn't going to church for about a year, and I started listening to Stephen Furtick, and the very first sermon that he preached, the title was, "It Had to Happen." Like, and the whole sermon was like, it had to happen this way. You had to go through this, things like that. And so that was Jesus' compassion just coming in a space where it was, dark, and like, I got you. Like, it had to happen. I'm like, well, this had to happen. It had to happen, right? So, Jesus is amazing.
And to know that he has authority. And you said something that, like, I wrote it down, like, on the corner, because I was like, I don't want it to be like mixed with all of the other things. But you said Jesus can touch what no one else can. And that to me was just, like, that was amazing. Because you were talking about, like, uncleanliness doesn't transfer to Jesus, but his holiness overpowers the unclean, right? But the fact that he can touch what nobody else can, he can transform what nobody else can, he can bring to life what nobody else can. I was just like, woo, like, praise break. Like, it was like
running around the church.
Like, I went to throw my shoe at you and everything. Like, it was just right. I have such bad aim, I would have hit somebody else. But I think that it was just so awesome, like, just understanding that it is not just compassion and it is not just authority, but it is also he has access to the things that we could never.
I think that's why it's so important that we read our word, right? And going through this line upon line is that I can have that when I'm going through stuff. And you, like you said, I wanted to shout right there, like, Jesus can touch anything, right? And it's like, nothing, no matter what you're going through, no matter what situation, bank account, the kids acting funny, Jesus has that much authority but also that much compassion where he can go and touch
Yeah.
anything without him being affected by it, right? Like he's not gonna get sick because we sick, but just to have that authority, and that care and that compassion, it's just mind blowing. It just so I guess the word that I keep repeating is this hope. Like there's hope for those even in dead situations. Like
Yeah.
Jesus the man.
Yeah, he truly is. So what advice will you give? I think I'm trying to make it so life-giving and so helpful for people who are struggling. What advice will you give to people that feel like they are not seen, or they feel like I have been praying and nothing is changing? Like they truly feel like this widow, like just
Yeah.
crying in the corner without visible hope.
Yeah. I want to say this with compassion because part of me is just sometimes a little overly direct. But I think that sometimes we need to mature to a place where we recognize that Jesus being with me and my circumstances changing are not always connected. That maturity can recognize Jesus is
Next,
with me.
Marco,
Right,
you
next
give us-
question.
I told you, like, I get that this is going to be hard, but I feel like this is what I need to say. Like, there's a maturity in saying, Jesus, I know you have compassion for me. I know you're here with me in this moment, even if the circumstances don't change. And that's we're broaching into next week's sermon, so I don't want to spoil too much. But like when we recognize our role, our position before Him, that the steps He takes towards us, the promise that we have of eternal life, the promise that we have that every tear is going to be wiped away. There's going to be no more sickness or dying. Like the hope that we have in that, the fact that we can hold on to that, like that's maturity. I think I actually just heard Tim Ross say this the other day in a clip where he talked about like immature Christians, they go to God and they're like, I need you to do this, I need you to do this, you got to move, you got to do this, you got to do this. Mature Christians say, God, you died for me. Like, I don't need anything else. And so like there is something about I get the pain, I get the grief, and I don't want to neglect the fact that there can be miracles that take place in that situation. That when God shows up, it can be to raise the dead, it can be to wipe out the cancer, it can be to restore your marriage. It can also be to give you the peace and the strength to keep putting one foot in front of the other, so that you can make it to the eternal promise that is waiting for you. But in both cases, it's still God's compassion. It's still Him seeing you. It's still Him moving towards you. It's still His presence in your life that makes all of the difference. Whether the circumstance changes or not doesn't indicate whether or not God was there or whether or not God cared.
Yeah. So like you said, the compassion and the real like meaning of the word is to suffer together. And I don't know, it just puts it at a different level. When you think that Jesus has compassion in your situation, like He's crying with you, like He weeps for the things that you're weeping, like His heart is broken for the things that
it hurts Him.
Yes.
And I think we could, and again, not trying to be so harsh, but we weren't like built to carry that stuff. A lot of times we focus so much on the pain, the problems, the suffering, and where God is, Jesus sitting there like, man, I'm right here, like focus on me. And that may sound rough, but sometimes we got to get when my grandfather died. Was it 1982? My grandmother said, she was crying for maybe months afterwards, and she said that God just woke her up. She was like, she would wake up and her pillow would be soaking wet. She was like, one day she woke up and was like God is still here with me. Like, my husband is gone. Prayerfully, he's in glory, but I got to shake this. Like, we have to shake it and real. She was like, God is still here. Regardless, he took, my husband passed She was like, God is still here, and I'm still here, right? Yeah. And you know, we sometimes we just put a lot of focus, and yeah, you know, we're humans, right? Those things, the pain and the suffering is still there, but sometimes, you know, weeping may endure for a night, but joy come in the morning. Like, don't let your nighttime, you know, prolong your morning, the joy that's coming. So, yeah, it's a difficult thing. You know, people say get over it. No, you don't want to hear that, but there's a process. We know that there's hope on the other end that we got to get to, and that's like, man, it's a goal line. I know I'm getting there, and I can see the joy. I can see the goal line. This is going to last for a season. So.
Yeah, I think that for me, something that has been helping is refocusing my mind, right? Because you can be completely consumed by looking at what is not working, that you forget all the things that actually are. Yeah. And even just seeing this place differently. Something that I have I've been listening to all the different messages and all of different podcasts and all the different things, you know, trying to just really understand how to handle difficult situations. And something that I heard in one of the podcasts was that the valley, everybody wants a mountain, right? Now everybody wants a mountaintop, everyone wants a success and everything, but there's no success and there's no victory without a valley. Yeah. Like, because in the valley is where the battles are won. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, like that just hits different, you know, like you don't necessarily desire the valley, right, but the valley is where the fight is happening and where the victory is going to take place. Yes. And so I think that for me, that has made a lot of a difference in the way that I see things. Like, yeah, like I'm in the valley, but this is where the battles are won. Yeah. You know, one day I'll be in the mountain celebrating what I won here. Yep. So, you know, like one day we will be at the mountaintop just cheering and all dancing and happy, but you don't get there if you didn't go through the valley first, and if you didn't allow God to strengthen you and help you win a battle in the plain. Yeah. So I think that is just very important. Like, focus on the things that you can do today, because one day you will be back on top. But while that happens, remember that there's purpose here. Like, this is where you fight your battles.
Right. That's what I think is in. She ready to praise it. Let's go.
Listen,
I think it was in Romans awesome. Where your persecution produces patience, and patience produces peace, or whatever that. Let us have His perfect work. Like, we got to go through those things, right?
Yeah. I said it earlier. It's that contrast, like. Sweetness is only described by the lack of bitterness. Like, you don't really understand how good something is if you don't have something to contrast it with.
True.
Like the light is brighter when you understand darkness.
Yeah. Well, that has been a wonderful conversation, everybody. But before we go, I have a question for you guys. So we had a centurion, and they had experienced Jesus' authority from afar, right? And you have the widow who experienced Jesus' closeness. Where do you think that you are in your life right now? How do you think that you are experiencing Jesus in this moment, in this season?
Yes, both and. Yes. Both and.
No, and I really do mean that in all seriousness. I think that there are aspects of my life where I'm seeing His authority, and there's aspects of my life where I'm seeing His compassion. And I think that's where the heart of this message came from for me personally. You know, I'm just working with the text in front of me, but there's still a personal connection to it as I'm writing out the sermon. And it really was that he has to have both. That if he doesn't have authority, then all the compassion in the world is useless. Yeah. Like, if you don't have the power to do anything about it, like, well, thanks. Awesome. But that compassion without authority, like, it's useless to me. But at the same time, like, a God who has all the power in the universe but doesn't care about the people that He created, like, that's terrifying. Like, I'm literally, that's terrifying. I mean, there's there's something about this idea of an all-powerful being that doesn't care.
That doesn't care.
This is such a nerdy moment. There's a comic that basically is like, what would happen if Superman wasn't a good guy? Man. Like, as a kid, having those superpowers and having that ability, but not being raised by the Kent family and having this understanding of how to be gentle and kind. And it's like, man, he can dominate the entire world. Like, can you imagine a God who has the power and the abilities and the authority that God has with no compassion for people? Like, that's terrifying. And so for me in my life, I can't pick one or the other. I gotta say it's both and, because I think that's the point, is that it's both are on display. Because here's what we didn't really tease out, but his authority and his compassion are actually working in both stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has the compassion to go to the centurion at just the request. Like, there's somebody who's dying and they need help, and Jesus goes. That's compassion. The authority to speak to the dead and have them raised up, like that's his authority on display. So while I framed it as, his authority is on display with this story, his compassion is on display with this story, really, it's both and. It's his authority and his compassion in both stories. It's just the authority is highlighted in one by the centurion, the compassion is highlighted in the other story by Luke phrasing it as he had compassion on her. But really, it's both. Always both.
Teaser.
What about you?
We have to, well, for me personally, I think I have to allow his authority to be dominant in my life so that I can enjoy the compassion that he has for me.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
See, I think that for me, when I was thinking about this question, I was thinking that I am approaching Jesus as the centurion, but I am experiencing Jesus as the widow.
That's poetic, Sol.
I keep coming to Jesus. I had more time to think about this than they did.
Is that what that is?
Yes. We keep coming to Jesus, bringing the people that I know need him. So I am approaching him with this, one word, Jesus, just one word, right? But I am experiencing him like the widow, it's like you were saying, person after person that keeps coming to us, praying for us, messages just saying, hey, how you doing? I'm thinking about you. I just wanted to know that God cares, stuff like that. So I think that I am experiencing the compassion as I am reaching out as a centurion. So
That's good.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's it for Luke 7 till verse 17. Next week we will start verses 18 through what? Let me see.
35?
35. Yes,
Hey,
18 through
look at that.
35. So come back. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be a good one. A lot
Heavier.
that we will need, I think, because I think that we all have fallen in the trap of, but what if I don't get what I want? So
if you want a pregame, just read that next interaction. John the Baptist sends some disciples to Jesus with some questions.
Yeah, because we all have questions, and Jesus has all of the answers. So be here next week. We thank you so much for watching, and we will see you later. Do all of the YouTube things. Share it.
Like, click, subscribe. What is it? Share
All of the things.
Things that Taisha tells them to do.
On
all of the
platforms.
things. In all of the platforms. Yes. So we will see you next week.